Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
Hats.
What's this funny little thing with your hand?
I don't know. I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Brendo.
I think I just I think I was looking at my nail or something. I don't know.
What are you doing? That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. We're away again. We're going again.
I know.
This is getting almost like a job.
We're pumping them out.
We are.
I just want to get to 100 so we can end it.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. What's going on?
So does everybody else.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah, well, you're upstairs watching a movie before we started.
Yeah,
that was
old movie.
Day of.
You ever find when you watch a movie with your family and then you end up watching a movie by yourself, everybody else leaves?
Yes, all the
You're
time.
still sitting there watching. So I'm a completionist, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
When you just have to, get to the bottom of things, but I can't do it on Twitter, obviously, so that kills me.
Have you hit your 600 limit?
Oh, I don't know. Twitter's been shitting its bed all the time, but I have found Primal for desktop on Nostr in the last few days, which has been way better. So shout out
than Amethyst.
Well, no, Amethyst on the Android is still okay, but the two things, I don't really want to shit on somebody, but the two things I was using before, not so great, but Primal on Nostr has been 100 times improvement. So
wow. And you said something about what was it? Someone's done a tweet deck or made a tweet deck type.
Just saw a picture of that today, and I think it's Damus. I think somebody has done a tweet deck like
it's an app though, isn't it? Tweet deck?
Well, so TweetDeck is basically like just a way to manage your Twitter, basically.
Yeah.
Where you see a whole lot of information, but they've done like an equivalent TweetDeck, but for Nostr on Damus. Don't quote me on that, but go look for it because it looked cool to me.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, we have a guest.
We do. Who have we got?
We have Ivan. Ivan, how are you, mate?
I'm great. Thanks for joining me into the conversation.
No, thank you for coming on. Firstly, where are you and who are you and where do you work and all that stuff? You give you a bit of a background story if you don't mind, mate.
No problem. Yeah, I am located in Sofia, Bulgaria, but as a Bitcoiner, I'm a human in the earth. So when I got caught by the orange wave, and just devoted my life, okay, I have to do this thing. I was looking for a job, and a little bit of luck and a little bit of strategic positioning on my part landed me a job in Breez, which I'm the first non-developer person in the company. And it's just a wild ride, and I thought that Bitcoin was mind-blowing, but when I kind of had a grasp of the Lightning Network, I was mind-blown again. And I know that even in the later stages, it will transform absolutely everything. And I love that Bitcoin puts everything on the same team. So yeah, it's just we need to onboard as many people as we can so we win this thing. I don't care about the money anymore, even though we all get attracted because of the money. But once you really understand it, it's all about the people, it's about love, and it's about now you can build anything that you want and you just start building. That's it.
And we've said this before, sorry, mate. It's just like everything that you do is going to help everybody else, and everything that everybody else does in Bitcoin is going to help you. So it's back to your point. You don't have to care about the money; that will take care of itself. If you just work out how to make things better, things are going to get better. So it's wonderful. Sorry, mate. Go on.
So yeah, but just before we get into you and Breez, what got you into Bitcoin? What actually got you down that rabbit hole?
Actually, I am probably one of the very few that my lady got me into Bitcoin.
Oh, yes.
And yeah. And we met, and she bought Ethereum for 2015, 16, something like that, for 50 pounds, very cheap. And she was bugging me for a year after we met. Come on, let's learn about this. We can make money. And I said, go away. This is nonsense. Like, this is a scam. and stuff like that. But finally, I capitulated, not in this way, but I said, okay, I'm going to learn and prove to you that this is a scam. And I started learning and going into the everything that I could find on crypto, and everything collapsed for crypto. I was absolutely right. But this goddamn Bitcoin thing didn't find a hole about it. And the more I got into it, the more I got convinced myself. And in the whole process, obviously, I started buying and really understanding it. And when I translated the knowledge to my lady, now both of us are Bitcoiners. But the initial spark was definitely her bugging me.
That's a great way to go into it. Actually going in, trying to debunk.
I think these
That's
are the
perfect,
best, not
yeah.
to blow smoke up your ass, but these are the best Bitcoiners. The best Bitcoiners is the ones who just constantly go back looking for the reasons why they're wrong.
Yes.
Because you just bang your head against the wall every direction you go. You're like, okay, well, it's not that way. I'm going to go this way. Not that way. I'm going to go that. And then you eventually get to, you almost, as you capitulate is exactly the word. You sort of capitulate and go, oh God, okay. And then you start to accumulate a little bit, and then you become this zealot, right? And that's quite a familiar story for me. So, give us a time scale on that sort of 15, 16, and then you came in and sort of riding the wave, I guess, and then you watched crypto collapse, and then you started digging in about 18. Is that about right?
Absolutely not. She bought the Ethereum in 2015, but we met in 2019, both of us together.
Oh, right,
and and in 2020 and 2021, she was in the bugging me mode. Oh, come on, see how it goes up and it goes up and it never comes down. Let's make money. And I knew that it's going to be a crash. So when I decided to really prove that she was wrong is December 2021. So a little bit after the top of Bitcoin, and I had 12 days of holidays break from work, from my fiat job then. And I devoted the holiday to prove that she's wrong. And in 3 days, I found out, okay, Bitcoin is different. And it just continued on the path of the bottomless rabbit hole. And I still kind of had a sense that Bitcoin should go down, because I fairly quickly understood the cycles and stuff like that. So the good thing is that I started accumulating under $32,000 the price. But the best thing is that when the bottom came, I kind of recognized the moment, and now all my relatives are orange pilled, even though they don't understand it as me. Like, I told them buy the bottom, and almost everybody but one bought, and now they're happy. So
you're like the local hero. Are you ready?
Well,
are you ready to be the local villain?
Not yet. Not yet the local hero, but because there are still fights. For example, my aunt bought a little bit of Bitcoin, but her husband continues to get irritated why Bitcoin and Solana is the same or whatever. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to ignore you. You're not ready to listen. He just wants to teach me. And I told him, are you going to go to, let's say you want to buy a car, and they tell you this car costs whatever, $10,000, and they don't even show you the car, and this is what you're buying with everything. Like, you should ask what is the model, what is the thing, I would like to do a test drive and everything else, so you can understand if that is a good price or a bad price, or what are the fundamentals of the cars. And that's exactly how most people buy, unfortunately, just looking at some random number and think it's going to go up. No, the number go up in technology in Bitcoin is not because of the price, it's because of everything else. And the effect is number go up.
Yes, totally agree. So I got to ask though, you said you had 12 days to basically prove your partner wrong. And in 12, so who was
sounds like a toxic relationship.
yeah.
All right, I'm on holidays. I'm gonna fuck her up.
I mean, I'm gonna say I appreciate it. So who was it? Who was it that you found that managed to convince you in those 12 days? Was it an author or a podcast or a what was it? Who was it?
I'm not exactly certain exactly who it was, but it was a cumulative thing when I tried to disprove. But because of my personal story, my mother actually I lost because of money. And when I found out, okay, this is the ultimate protection for when you're gone, you can pass it along to your heirs. And that hit a very intense emotional button in me.
Yep.
And when I understood it, then it was like, okay, game over. I'm devoting my life to this thing. I don't know exactly how, exactly what, but this is such an important thing for humanity. Not just for me, not just for something that think it's an investment or think it's a digital gold. No, those are just sound bites that trying to get attention. But I really believe that Bitcoin is so much more than actual money. And basically, I lived through the Jason Lowry's thesis. Like everybody will be attacked at some point, and we're constantly attacked all sorts of ways. And when you experience that while you're gone, the people that are your heirs, and especially your kids, are extremely vulnerable in those times, and vultures and all sorts of ways the attacks intensify because now the wall of the parent is not there and to protect you. And that's what we experienced with my sister. And yeah, like right now, Bitcoin money, yeah, it's going to go up, but when they figure out that this is unattackable, and even if you attack it, that's how it is your losing strategy, then I don't know. I really do believe that Bitcoin will go to trillions.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, that number scares people, but it's just, I guess the point where, I don't know, at some point, the fiat number just becomes irrelevant because nobody's thinking in fiat anymore. So it maybe never will go to trillions because we're just not thinking of the fiat anymore. We're just measuring, whatever, a tank of gas at the fuel station in Bitcoin or
that's a good point. Actually, I've never thought of that.
I don't know at what point it falls off and we just won't care anymore.
Irrelevant
because people do convert because you've got this. It's like having you got this measuring stick, and everybody's saying you're however tall you are. Right. Well,
yeah.
If you change the unit,
yeah,
and everybody then starts using the unit, and everybody just stops talking about meters and centimeters, now they're just become irrelevant.
Yeah.
As long as the new thing is consistent, right? So I don't know where that point is, but it will happen at some point. And it'll happen at different points for different people, I guess.
I think we'll move on from fiat measuring stick to something else, but the ultimate measuring stick, I think, is unit of energy. And I don't know whether that would be joules, kilojoules, or something like that. But if you go deep enough, and that unit of energy is unchangeable, is grounded in physics, just like Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, because right now the miners are pricing that into their models, how much is costing in fiat terms a unit of energy. And this is the middle measuring stick. I think in the really long term, Bitcoin, whether it's sats or millisatoshis or whatever the number is, will be priced in some type of unit of energy.
I agree. I actually called it, I was thinking about it recently, and I was like calling it a Starlight storage truth machine.
What? You said that?
Yeah, because basically all the energy on Earth has come from the sun originally, right? All of it.
Yeah.
In some shape or form. Right. So that's your Starlight. And so it's a Starlight store. Everything is there. That's the energy. That's your energy source for everything.
Yeah.
And then it's just truth machine. So it's a Starlight storage truth machine.
How
I don't think that's going to catch on.
How did that tweet go?
About 2 likes, maybe. But I'm going to get the detail. So how you got to that point. It's obviously a very personal journey for you, but you then went, okay, I'm going to go look for a job in Bitcoin, or how did that then come about? Like, what happened there?
Yeah, it wasn't an instant thing. The first thing when it hit me was like, I have to arrange PO all my relatives. That was the first thing. And I stumbled onto the first barrier that even though I understand it on a deep level, I cannot express it so people can understand me.
That's me to a T.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of us to a T. Because it's all of us. Go on, sorry, please.
Yeah, and still, when the closest people to me that know and also experience the story of losing our relative, kind of related, and they, even though they didn't completely understood it, because of the trust that we have between each other, they said, okay, let's give it a go. And along the, let's say, 3-4 months, I continued like absorbing this knowledge about Bitcoin and continuing to disprove Bitcoin, and that has the continued effect of actually like this is unstoppable right now. And I got better explaining it to people, and more people started trusting me and understanding it for themselves and putting a little bit more. And then when, I don't know exactly when, but it creeps on you that, okay, this is this future, and now I live in this fiat presence. And when I started comparing those two systems really in my, how do I say, career, I said, okay, I really have to do something here. I have no idea what. I almost knew none of the companies except the most dominant companies in the Bitcoin space. But then I just decided I'm not going to ask permission to do it. I'm just going to start producing stuff, and people, I bet that they will reach out to me at some point. And I started with a little bit of content, doing animations or tweets or like whatever. Content creators outreached me. I started outreaching people in the space, dominant names, saying I would love to meet you in one of the conferences. And I got lucky that when I messaged Jeff Booth, he said, I'm coming to Bulgaria next month. And I was like, what? I checked. Yeah, it was really happening, a conference in my city, in my country. And I said, okay, I'm buying the VIP ticket for that because I already started applying to positions in Bitcoin companies. But all those people coming to me, and Greg Foss was here, Natalie Bruneo, Knut, Nikki Illich, pretty dominant names in the space. And I said, okay, I hope that I can make a strategy to give as much as I can value to them. And really the main purpose for me was to really show that I understand it on a deeper level, that it's really only Bitcoin. And also, first of all, to confirm that I truly understand it by their vision. But my hope was, if I make an impression, then I can stay in touch with those people, and maybe something can happen.
Yeah.
And I positioned myself pretty good. I bought one t-shirt that is saying there are 3.9 billion women. There are 21 million Bitcoin. And the tagline is, I can get a girlfriend later. And with this t-shirt, when Greg Foss saw it, he laughed. He introduced me to Jeff Booth. They wanted a picture with me because of it. And then I started talking, gave some Bitcoin cookies, stuff like that, and really managed to make some kind of an impression. And when Breez was looking for a person, because Jeff Booth is one of the investors there, that was kind of the connection to get me in the door for an interview. And again, it wasn't given or anything. I still had to go through the process, and they decided to stop themselves on me. So
Nice.
that's kind of the story from, okay, I have to do it. And tying it back to what we talked, that Bitcoin is going to be priced in energy. I already made a commitment. I'm devoting my career to Bitcoin. And right now, can you measure all my life's energy in my career? How much value I'm going to bring into Bitcoin? And I'm just one person. And I'm not going to have any other career. And people talking about, okay, Bitcoin is going to 1 million. Like, that's peanuts for me. Like, how much is one person's life worth? Price that. And now price the whole humanity's work. That would be just part of the Bitcoin, that the worth of the whole network. So yeah, it's really a life's mission for me. And yeah, I don't care how much is the price. I care how many people are in it.
Nice. So what is your role at Breez?
My official title is Chief of Staff, but internally we say that I'm Chief of Stuff, because I don't program. So anything else that is not programming, I can do. And yeah, Roy also said that I am the joker in the team, like in the deck of cards, that I can go anywhere or anything. So marketing, operations, QA tests, some random task could be in my schedule. But yeah, appearing on podcasts, I'm one of the 2 public faces. It's 3 now, but anything but writing code, and I'm happy to do it.
And where are the team? Where are the team? Are they all over? Breez are all over the place. You're all remote, or?
Yeah. Everybody but the founders. There are 3 founders in the company. They're in Israel, but everybody else is in a different country.
So how does that work? How do you communicate with each other? How does work get done practically?
Well, we're open sourced, and when they code, again, everything is remote via Google meetings or Zoom meetings, anything else. We chat in a platform. So yeah, we don't need to be in one place like construction workers because we're building this house, but we are all in the same place in the cyberspace, technically. Our bodies are just in the physical realm. So our work, because it's in cyberspace, it's pretty easy to everybody to be remote.
Okay, so tell me why I'm wrong here. So I've had this thought that
you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong, but I want to know. So, COVID made everybody, a lot of people work from home. A lot of people able to work from home, forced to work from home, however you want to say that. But then, hopefully we're getting through that now, and some companies are bringing people back into the office. Some aren't. Some are just staying this remote model. But what I wonder is, we're obviously a bit older than you are, but when I first went in an office space, it was, you go in there and you think you're a little bit clever, and then you realize nobody respects that at all, and you're the T-boy or whatever it is you are, and then you sort of but then you have to sit beside somebody and you learn and you do all that kind of stuff. Like how is practically learning done, particularly for young people in that kind of environment, and how do you build relationships well enough in that environment to learn properly is probably what I'm asking.
That's a good question, Hats.
Yeah. And it laid perfectly, because this is one of the I wouldn't say bigger, but one of the contributions from myself in the team, because that environment for developers, even if they were in one place, everybody had to have their autonomy to learn for themselves from the internet, to find the proper calls, to paste them, to think for themselves, so you can do implementation. But you're losing this personal, not only learning from each other, because that could happen in a chat for a specific task, but you're losing the bonding moments between tasks and stuff like that. And the team is not so tight, I would say, if they are not in the same space. And we decided, okay, we're going to devote a specific meeting, even though it's virtual, to be a social meeting. And we talk about anything but work in it, who everybody is from, and maybe we play a game. We share the history, how we started in Breez, like what is your favorite football team, stuff like that. But if it is virtual, you just have to plan it, because when the meeting is over in Zoom, there is no walking to my desk and we chat for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All that is missed, and you have to plan it, insert it into the schedule. So you could really bond the team together, because even though one interesting thing, because I worked remotely in a previous company, and because Bitcoiners were all aligned, I would say 80 to 90% on the mission. And for the first time, I really experienced, even though we don't see each other, I know how hard everybody is working on their side. And it just incentivized me to put my best foot forward. And we incentivize each other because we're on the absolutely same mission. I have no idea about the crypto people because everybody is kind of for themselves. We want to make money. And if I make more money than you, it's not exactly the same. But Bitcoiners really are on the same mission to better humanity and to give Bitcoin to 8 billion people. So it's already aligned a lot, but a little bit of planning for the social stuff is how we see. And when we see each other in conferences, it's always awesome.
I was going to say, is that really fun when you do get together? Because it just makes it better, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I just want to clarify. So you guys schedule a social meeting, a bunch of Bitcoiners getting together, and then not allowed to talk about Bitcoin. Is that right? Because that sounds ridiculous.
A little bit. Yeah, when you say it like that, it's definitely ridiculous. But it's a social meeting just for the team. It's not for somebody outside of the team, because I'm organizing also a Bitcoin meetup in my city, but just for the team to talk about personal stuff. Whoever would like to share whatever. Maybe it's some local news or some personal news, like I went on a holiday there, or this is what happened. But it's really to facilitate this talk of, okay, we are human and we want to connect on a human level. And we can talk about Bitcoin, we can talk about football, we can talk about hobbies, favorite books, movies, like whatever.
It's a good idea.
That's how you build the actual trust. Even though we say don't trust, verify in the Bitcoin space, but when you meet a Bitcoiner, the trust is so high because the values are aligned. And when you actually become part of their life, and you know, oh, this one has kids, this one has trouble about this, or has win about, let's say his kids won the local championship, or whatever it is. It's just connecting on this human level, and that's what makes us people. So yeah, if it is only about work, it's never going to outcompete the personal stuff, in my opinion. Because if you see them just as colleague and not as human, all sorts of bad things happen. And I think fiat system proved that because it's just a number, and you didn't do your numbers properly, or why are you smoking a cigarette for 10 minutes more than you're allowed to, or whatever it is. And you just see them as this obedient machine that has to work here and receive a salary.
I love how you say that, like people having values and mission aligned, and like people say words in the fiat world too. They say a lot of words that are meant to be, you know, real positive, right? So, and these are the sort of the same kind of words, but the actions are what matters, right? And so you're doing a whatever 35, 40, 45 hour week, and then you're coming out of your job and you're choosing in your spare time to set up a Bitcoin meetup. So basically what you're doing is going to work for a full time of work, and then coming home and then deciding in your spare time to set up a work meeting in the evening, right? That's what you're doing.
Yeah,
that's genuine values and mission, right?
That is it.
Because you care.
Exactly.
And you enjoy it, right? Clearly.
Oh my God. When you meet somebody that's a Bitcoiner, even though there's some Bitcoiners here and there and online, we're connected, but the face-to-face meeting, especially for my experience, in Bulgaria, there was nobody. I tried to find somebody and it was extremely hard. It's full of shitcoineries still. And I connected to one person and I told him, okay, on the first meeting when we met, I said, let's make a meeting. Like, because I knew that I wanted to contribute stuff. And I thought maybe I make some kind of a face-to-face course to get them introduced, like, or maybe I invite them in my house and just talk. Like, I was kind of searching for the format. But when I found this new person and we agreed, okay, let's do this thing. We did 7 meetings. We do them twice a month. But on the 8th meeting, actually last Saturday, Bitcoiners started to come out of the shadows in Bulgaria. And for the first time, 10 people came to our meeting from nowhere. They found us. And it was an incredibly great experience because now our network grew like from 3 to 15 people and something like that. And we decided, okay, let's make a group organization about going to BTC Prague because some of them went to last month's event and they said it was great. So next time it will be a bunch of Bitcoiners from Bulgaria going to Prague.
That's awesome, and I love the fact that when you 15 guys get together and sit in a room, and somebody sends sats to somebody else for whatever it is, every single transaction that you do is defunding the system, right? Because you're not doing it in the other system, right? So every single that's one transaction that would have happened elsewhere that's now happening on Bitcoin, and who's going to stop that? No one. 15 guys sitting together in Bulgaria, right? Good luck.
Like,
yeah, good luck.
How can you stop that? Like, maybe if they're in front of your face at that moment in time, you can influence it to delay it a little bit, but good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. So tell us about the functionality of Breez. What is Breez, and what services does Breez provide for people?
Yeah. So when Breez was founded, it was founded by 3 very passionate Bitcoiners, and they're also technologists, and they had their career as developers for quite some time. And when they read the Lightning white paper, they recognized, okay, this is the thing that could transform Bitcoin from store of value to become this medium of exchange for micropayments and for instant settlement. But because they are technologies, they really smartly realize the proper framework. And they coined this term Lightning Service Provider. What that thing means that even now we're connecting through the internet, but I, on my side, have my own internet service provider that is taking care of the router, the cables, everything else that's behind the scenes. I have no idea the complexity of it. I just have a browser on my computer or on my phone or whatever device, hardware device I would like to access the internet. So this is kind of the same framework that they did for the Lightning. Lightning is this complex thing that's behind the scenes, but if that is the barrier to entry, nobody would use it. So you have to have this Lightning service provider that is taking care of all the complexities behind the scenes, and they give you this interface that you as a user or a company can access the Lightning network and just use it. You don't have to think about what's happening behind the scenes. And from that framework, they created the application in order to test how people should use it, and also to experiment the proper ways how to optimize the behind the scenes stuff. And they managed to do 3 interfaces before I joined. One of them is the wallet, and most Lightning companies are wallets still. The second interface is a podcasting player. And people ask me, why is there a podcasting player here? I can't synchronize it with other stuff. This is in order to understand the Lightning economy and to prove this, framework that they envision. That if you provide utility to the application, to the interface, let's say you're a podcast player user, now I can send from the same application sats to this podcast, or I can program it every minute, send them 2 sats, 5 sats, 10 sats, whatever. And the system takes care of the rest. I just do it. But on the other side, Breez is doing all the things in order that to actually manifest. So I really send the Satoshis from me to the podcast thing, to the podcasters. And the last interface that we built internally is a point of sale interface for merchants. You can upload your menu, what are you selling in your store or anywhere. You can import it as a menu list. You can set your prices in fiat terms, and the application itself automatically does the exchange for Bitcoin, because it's Bitcoin. You don't have the fiat in the application, but you have Bitcoin in it only. And when you say this costs $2, I'm buying 2 bananas, I'm buying 1 sandwich, everything, the application displays 1 QR code, and it's extremely easy to operate, and you just send Bitcoins. But that's another use case, and that's really the vision. Every single use case to be out there as an application, but the Lightning service providers are behind the scenes doing the Lightning complexity. So it's really easy for the app developers to build on top of Lightning.
And let me just make that practical for people that are listening. So we have this podcast. Our podcast is available everywhere, but we claimed it through Fountain. Okay, no criticism of Breez whatsoever, but it was claimed through Fountain. But what actually happens there is if one of the listeners is listening through Breez and chooses to either boost or stream us sats through Breez, that will automatically just come straight through into our account over in Fountain. So that will be the same in both directions. So
which speaks to the decentralized nature of
exactly
the whole network.
Exactly, the benefit of it being open, and it doesn't actually matter. Everything that the guys at Fountain are doing is going to benefit the guys. Of course, it's competitive. That's no problem at all. But everything that both of you are doing is actually good for each other and good for the network as a whole. More importantly, for the network as a whole. It's just in a practical sense. So, of those 3 services, how do they rank in terms of usage from the customer base? Like, what is the most important thing that people are using with Breez just now, and or what is it that you see as the main service that you guys provide, or that are going to provide in the future?
Yeah, I would say that our long-term vision is really not to be these app developers ourselves, because if we have to develop every single use case, it's constrained by our team's capacity, what we can develop. But right now, we are focusing on a SDK, which is an extremely easy code that you can plug into your application that you're developing. Mm-hmm. And the developers themselves can do every single use case out there, and they have zero knowledge about the Lightning Network. But they just plug in this SDK. We take care of everything in the background, really, and you have your own app. And every single time that you're doing a transaction on the Lightning Network, because it's going from one node to the other, every single node takes a little bit of a fee. And that is our long-term vision, because we don't see each other as competitors, as Fountain or whatever Lightning company there is out there, because we just need to onboard 8 billion people, and we do whatever is necessary. We're so early that
it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it absolutely doesn't matter. And because, again, going back to Bitcoiners being on the same mission, right now, because of the SDK, company started outreaching us, and they said, "Oh, I was developing this for myself, and when I found out that Breez is facilitating all that, I would like to try it and to be so much easier." And we help them out, and the conversation is not as a competitor, but okay, let's build this thing together. And
Yes.
Fountain and Breez itself is connected to the value for value podcasting. The Podfather created this network there. And everybody that is connected to value for value podcasting, whether it's a future third application or whatever, it's on the same network. But we don't, I will say it like this. I don't think we really want to develop everything out there, every single use case, because again, going back to specialization, if you're one developer and let's say you understand the construction market, you can make the best app for your skills, for what you need there as a company. If you're, let's say, publisher of books, you can create an application about that. Taxi services, you can create an application on that, and you just plug in this thing called Bitcoin into your application. And by the way, the important thing also about Breez is that our whole infrastructure is non-custodial. So even the app developer, they don't hold the funds for their customers. So when, let's say, I sign up for I can't say some names, but when I sign up for a developed app and I'm a user of a taxi service, let's say, and they optimize everything to be connected to the Lightning Network, I hold my own funds, even though I'm using this application. It's in my own node. So even if that app goes out of business, it's just closing the channels. They go away, and I still have my own funds. And I can transfer them anywhere else. There is no third-party risk. The non-custodial nature is the important thing, so Bitcoin can win. Because if we start building an infrastructure with its custodial, then we really become this digital gold, and it can be captured just like the analog gold. So, and because of this non-custodial nature, I would say is that companies seeing what's happening with crypto, all custodians and all sorts of regulations coming into their space, they started really researching, oh, I'm custodial, but I don't have lawyers that I'm paying tens of millions of dollars every year to protect me from this regulation. So how can I switch my business from being a bank or a custodial service to being non-custodial? And this way, you don't have to win regulations, and you don't have KYC, you don't have restrictions, all sorts of things. So
it's just a little example of that is seeing exchanges pull out of Canada, shitcoin exchanges pull out of Canada because regulation has become too onerous on them, and the market isn't, they're saying the market isn't big enough to maintain the business to the standard of the regulation.
Well, didn't Binance do that in Australia?
Yeah, I think so. But then companies like Bull Bitcoin, who are non-custodial, so if you buy Bitcoin there, it just comes straight out to yourself. They don't have that problem at all, right? So that's what you're getting at, right?
Exactly. And exchanges is just one, again, use case. I talked about taxi service or construction. Onboarding people into Bitcoin is a use case. And let's say right now, because of regulation is coming to your door and says, oh, you're holding funds for your customers, so you're technically a bank. You need to comply with these rules, or we shut you down, or we make a fine to your business. And everybody that is not, the regulators didn't come to their door, it's realizing, okay, how can I quickly switch from custodial to non-custodial? And just whether it's from Greenlight, we made a partnership to develop this infrastructure. Either go to Greenlight to make it non-custodial, or just use the Breez SDK. It's just the quick and easy. But the other way is you develop it yourself. But it's, again, hard work. So maybe you would like to go for the quicker solution.
Totally.
Either way, it's fine. but custodial is right now going under the radar because the regulators are going after proof of stake and exchanges. That's on their point of view. When they win that fight, inevitably, or everybody complies, just like Strike. Why Strike is not global? Because a lot of regulators, they have to comply. And even though they expanded to 65 countries right now, let's say one country says, oh, we are going to ban it in our country. They can become 60 or 55 in the future. But the fight there is a lawyering fight, a regulator's fight, and it's important. The custodial is really about the technology. Let's build it to be reliable, and you don't have problems with regulators because it's not in their jurisdiction. The Bitcoin that you have in non-custodial in your node is in cyberspace. It's not in your country, and they can't touch that. And they can't regulate it.
So sorry, just to clarify, you're saying so Breez is non-custodial, but it can be custodial if people want it to be? Or is
no, I'm saying the custodial solutions. Let's say the obvious popular wallet is Wallet of Satoshi.
Yeah.
Right now it's fully custodial.
Yeah.
But they don't have the legal team like Strike. Strike is onboarding countries slowly and surely when they are approved. Wallet of Satoshi is operating everywhere, and they can pretty quickly switch into non-custodial just because of the technology now. We are very close for the non-custodial solutions to be as easy and as reliable as the custodial solution. That was the technical hurdle there. The custodial solution is just a little bit more challenging for the user, but it was a lot more complicated for the developers. And just OGs like Breez and Blockstream and really technical guys can develop on it. But now this feature is coming, so you have no idea about Bitcoin Lightning, and you just plug it in. Just like you can plug in PayPal into your services. That's the analogy, if I can make. You don't have to know about what PayPal is doing. You just want to receive money for your services. And that is how easy it should be.
So what do you think about the difference between Bitcoin itself, main chain, and Lightning? Like, where should people be holding? They're saving their Bitcoin and there's using your Bitcoin, and people would argue that saving your Bitcoin is using your Bitcoin. But where should people, if it was a split, how do you think about that in terms of securing your Bitcoin and actually using the Bitcoin to work for you?
Yeah, I would definitely say that for long term, the best practice is cold storage multisig. Like, if you have a smaller stack, maybe it's not multisig, but it has to be cold storage. That's the only way that it's really yours. Otherwise, it's somebody else's holding it for you.
Yeah.
And if they face challenges, maybe they take it away from you, whatever the setup is. But it has to be cold storage. And depending on the amounts, you just increase the security of the cold storage with putting 2 out of 3, maybe 3 out of 5, whatever the situation is. And I was really struck about even the majority, I would say, of Bitcoiners are still on the I'm holding forever. And I would say they would miss out on the world because Bitcoin should be used, but just holding it forever, not everybody is Michael Saylor. He can retire now and he can hold for his grandchildren and stuff like that. But I'm not. So my question that was struck was, how do I properly spend? That is, I would say, an individual question for most people, but at least for myself, I thought like this. For long term, I'm making myself a list that is a personal list. What are my goals for life? I would like to have a house, I would like to have a particular car, I would like to have whatever, a washing machine, or like whatever people's goals are, write them down. And next to them, write how much Bitcoin they cost. So you really use Bitcoin as a unit of account. And you measure that in 2023. And just start saving in Bitcoin. That's it. And when you say, okay, this thing that I can afford really now, and it's going to be a small percentage out of my savings, but it's going to enrich my life. Let's say somebody in Africa is doing their laundry by hand, and they can't do other stuff because they have to. Now they start accumulating a little bit, but when buying a washing machine is going to improve their personal life so much more, of course you should spend it. The only second condition that I have with Bitcoin is never spend more than 50%, because you have to have savings at all time. Because if you spend it all and then it shoots up, you don't have the benefit. But let's say you spend 20-25% of your Bitcoin buying a washing machine or buying a car because now you want to be a taxi driver to earn, or whatever your use case is, and Bitcoin shoots up again 2x, you have a car and you're richer. And you are leading the life that you want in a better manner through technology, the Jeff Bezos's thesis. So I would say this is the more important question. How do I properly spend Bitcoin? Not just hodling it, but in order to really understand it for each individual case, you have to start a list about what do you actually want to accomplish in your life? What do you want to have in your life? Because otherwise, you again, you're going to go back to just the price. And, oh, did I sell at the proper time? But then it shoots up and you're going to kick yourself so much more. But when you know what are you saving for exactly, then you're going for that other thing. You're not going for, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah, I love that, because it's actually, yes, you're spending, but you're spending on things that you really are prioritizing. You've thought it through, and you've thought, okay, this is genuinely important to me. It doesn't matter what the thing is for you, but it's genuinely important, and that's what money should be for. Like, that's what money is. Like, it's and if you have a family, or you want to help somebody with a health condition, or you want a washing machine, it doesn't matter. Something that makes your life genuinely better, you should be spending your money as much as you can do. Stack, hodl, spend, replace. But if one day the washing machine is important to you, and it costs a bit more than the Bitcoin that you were saving that period of time, that's okay. That's an okay thing. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, just because I'm in the Lightning space, I love spending it. It's just, I know that if I spend some sats onboarding no coiner or somebody that I just managed to orange pill, and I love the price to shoot up a little bit. Let's say I give them $10, and a week later he has $12, and he did nothing. It's just that feeling, okay, why the hell that thing happened? And it forces them to ask more questions. But the bigger thing that I win when I send them sats is that they now become part of our network. They're one more node in the network, and when tough times come, you're going to outreach to the people that really helped you out and that you're really connected to. I don't think how many people Jerome Powell is going to help when the crisis hits, let's say in the next 12 months or so. Like, he's going to help himself, first of all. He's going to help his country, first of all. And so many other people will be put in such a bad place. But when I onboarded personally and we are meeting face-to-face, it's just so lovely. And they offer something that I can't offer as a service or as a product. One of the Bitcoiners in the meeting, they opened a restaurant, and now it's a grill type of restaurant, and now they accept Bitcoin. It's such a cool thing.
It is.
Yeah.
That's it. If you can spend with another Bitcoiner as well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always possible, but if you're able to, if they're a Bitcoiner, they're a hodler too, right? As much as they can be. So you're spending to a hodler. So it's still being hodled, right?
I still go back to Bitcoin Alive when you, me, and Mitch tipped that waitress at the pub, and I hope she's still there next year when we go back.
Yeah, I'd love that. That was so cool, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, just practice that you're absolutely right though. The spending on Lightning, just because it's so cheap, so easy. And you really, if you're using any number of apps that are interconnected, and it just works, it's fun to use it. It's really fun to use it. You spoke before we came on before we actually pressed record. You were speaking about writing some articles.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I would say I'm probably not going to publish the articles because when I try to write them, it's just not the thing that I want to express. And but we'll see how it goes. But the main topic of the articles really is Bitcoin changes lives so much about really saving. And how is the instant settlement going to change our behavior also? Because that's another mind-blowing thing that we didn't have before. We kind of became close to it, but through the plastic cards that we are paying, but it's still so far off in reality. And it hit me really hard that in the fiat system and all around the places, because of this delay and high fees, all sorts of places, we receive money through a form of salary, through a form of wage, but it's pricing our units of money that we are supposed to receive by time. And if you are an employer and you have a direct conflict with your employees are incentivized to do as little work as possibly they can do, or no work for the most amount of time. And the employer wants the exact opposite. They want the most amount of work for as little money as they can give you. So that's a direct conflict, and it's just because of the incentive. The employee measures their productivity by time. The employer measures their productivity by services rendered, so by work done. And I was really thinking, how can we onboard all the employees about everything to also be incentivized by work done? Because if you're a freelancer, you're your employee and your boss, and you're completely aligned. The more work, the more money I receive. And in the long term, I really see that Lightning can transform that if we move into that economy. Let's say you have an employee and you have a brick and mortar store that you're selling fashion, let's say clothes. And right now you're paying a salary to that employee, let's say once a week or once a month, and some type of a bonus based on the sales that the store happens. And it's still they're valuing their time based on the money. But with Lightning, because you can do microtransactions and you can actually do split payments. Let's say going back to the podcasting player, if I send you sats in the podcasting player, the podcast receives, let's say, 20%. The host receives, one of you guys receives 30, the other one 30, and 20 for charity or 20 for the editor, whatever the splits you decide. This is possible for everything, not just podcasting. Now, going back to the brick and mortar store, for every single piece of clothing that the employee sells, the business receives 20%. The employer receives 10%, the employee receives, let's say, 10%, and also the manufacturer receives the rest of the money. And when that thing, I'm trying to grasp it, that how many split payments you can do at the same time. Another use case that I was thinking is, let's say you order something off of the internet, let's say products, hardware world. For example, and you're placing an order and the risk is on your side because it's again the timing thing. It's not the instant settlement. Either you pay it instantly and they ship it, and until you receive it, you are doing the risk, or when you receive it, you pay it, but along the lines you have let's say DHL has to take their cut, the website has to take their cut, the manufacturer has to take their cut, the employees that served has to take their cut. And what happens if the moment that you receive the package, all of those people are paid at the same time through the Lightning Network, because the user is actually paying the payment of the actual thing. And it just, I think that's the mind-blowing thing. I don't know how to express it into an article, but the use cases there, I would say, are enormous. And I think really this would again shift everything, because the employees now will be directly incentivized by work done. They're not going to be lazy. You don't have to go and stimulate them, but they get it. Like, the more stuff that I sell, the more money I make. It's not about the most time I have to spend in the store and I receive the same money. So I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's the big thing. And
that's huge.
Yeah, I love that. But it is like, it's probably, as you're saying, it's hard to articulate in an article, and I think it's because that's such a huge mind shift societally.
You need to be able to give. I mean, as you've said, like Sailor is incredible at doing the analogies or giving the little description, is to simplify some complex concept into like 7 words, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I meant for the last 3 years. But like I remember saying to my wife years ago, like once we start streaming money, we'll literally be driving along in the car, and your car will be paying per kilometer for the maintenance of the road. And you could have 100-kilometer trip, you could have 100 split payments. They could all go to a business that was or one business, whoever responsible for maintaining the road, and all of that money could be ring fence for just the maintenance of that road. So the road would be absolutely in direct relationship to the number of the traffic that was traveling on the road.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just so many. I mean, I remember thinking of this years ago and thinking about, I can't do that, but that's going to happen. I can see it in my mind. But putting that down on paper is very difficult. So I guess I personally think it's about the practical examples. If you can give as many practical examples, if you just, buy something off the net and whatever, just work out the stages along the way where somebody has provided a service. That's it really, where some service or product or service has been provided, and a percentage of the 100% goes to that element. And that could be a person or a robot or a car, or it doesn't matter, right? It could be whatever.
Anything. Yeah. And we talked about the splitting when the payment is done, but I was thinking something that I don't know somebody that developed it yet, but it's definitely possible that if you can do split payments on the receiver side. So let's say we order a taxi, but we are 3 people in it, and we are dropped off at the different points, or let's say a bus that somebody is dropping off at this station, another one at that station. You're paying, let's say it's a fixed fee for the bus driver. The driver needs to receive a salary, the bus needs maintenance for the fuel or whatever, and that's a fixed thing. And he said, okay, to drive my bus, I need, let's say, $2 per kilometer. I'm just thinking out.
Yeah, sure.
And you have 10 people in the bus. And when you split it by 10, that's what is it? 20 cents per kilometer per person. And that can be again, a split payment on the, on the payee side. It's not split when on the receiving, but on the pay. And let's say those 10 people, 10 other people come on the other stop. Now 20 people pay the 2% per kilometer, and now it's 10 cents per kilometer. It's just when I start playing it in my mind, it's just again mind-blowing where this thing is going. And definitely this thing will happen It needs to be secure. We took care of that, but now the medium of exchange needs to be realized, and a lot of companies will really capture all that value, because right now you're one developer, build one application of those use cases that I mentioned, plug in Lightning, and you crash Uber, because you're not going to crash it because there are such a small community of Bitcoiners, but it would put a lot of pressure on Ubers or on the taxi companies.
I mean, Uber either adopt it or they lose. I mean, it gets to that to lose to somebody else. And what I think is the biggest point of what you're saying here, right, is all that's fantastic, but the good ideas have always been good ideas, right? But the incentive previously was, if you had a good idea, was to do it yourself, or if you were not capable of doing it yourself, keep your mouth shut, because you didn't want to give away your good idea. And why did you not want to give it away? Because you were losing your thing. But if you're a Bitcoiner and you're hodling your Bitcoin and you have a good idea, shout it out loud. If you're not going to do anything with it, if you're not capable, you don't want to, or whatever, shout it out loud, tell somebody about it, and somebody with the capability of doing it will do it, and that will accrue value to the Bitcoin you're hodling. You'll get the value back from your idea. I mean, you might not get the huge value that the person who did the work got, but neither you should. The person did the work, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, it just blows my mind to think of how many people are sitting. Everybody is. I say everybody is sitting on a good idea.
Even me.
Yeah.
Even you. No, I think everybody's sitting on hundreds of good ideas. Like, you've maybe got one.
Yeah, I probably got one.
But no, everybody's got a good idea, right? But they may not be capable of doing it. But if you can just get it out there and let somebody do it, you'll get all of the value from that good idea. You'll feel great about that. And if you're saving your time and your hard work in Bitcoin, you get that too. It's great, right? Yeah. It's just win, 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 win.
We're all on the same side. I view it that this will transform humanity to finally be on the same side. And the fiat system is this autoimmune disease that it's attacking its host itself. It's attacking each other constantly because of the incentives, somebody to win over somebody else from the same species.
Yes.
But when you're aligned, it becomes this ultimate competitive sport, and we're on the same team. Because even if you compare every single sport, like football, basketball, or whatever, if you compare it from 50 years ago, the sport itself was elevated because people were incentivized to become better in order to win. And this is what Bitcoin is happening, but there are no competing teams. We are competing individuals on the same thing. And obviously the people that really perform the best are going to win more, and people that perform the worst and not or cheat, they're going to be excluded. And I love how if you cheat, you actually pay the person that you cheated to, especially in Lightning. If you try to cheat me in my Lightning channel, not only that you lose the Bitcoin that you also committed, but you're paying the person that you tried to cheat and not anybody else.
Consequences are a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's it. A rising tide that just lifts all boats, right?
Yeah,
it's great. Ivan, mate, we could talk all night. But can you give a shout out to to where people can find out about Breez, where they can find out about yourself, and if there's anything you're needing from people, just please ask.
I would say that people can find about me at Twitter, Naku2000, NACKOO 2000. About Breez is breez.technology. We're in Twitter, LinkedIn, however they like to reach out, whether it's about the SDK or anything. Everything that we do is open sourced. So even if you like some part of the code and you can implement it, you can fork the code and do whatever customization you would like to do. So, but yeah, the orange future is coming, and I'm really, really glad that Lightning will onboard so many people, and Breez is just one company. So many other companies are starting to realize this, and now everybody is talking institutional things, but again, we're thinking through fiat terms. I don't care about the money. I care about how many people, and Lightning will onboard so many more people, and then that's how we win. So yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. I would just like, I know you hate me for doing this. I would just like one final plug just to shout out for a Bulgarian child who's good at drawing, who would like to enter our art competition and win some sats. Please do that. I'd love to have an entry from Bulgaria.
Yes.
Really? What are you doing?
So we're doing a kids art competition. We've got 4 age categories up to the age of 16. The winners are going to be judged by our children, and each winner will get 210,000 sats, and there are some other prizes too. So there'll be a prize for everybody, but there's some other prizes too. So if there is a Bulgarian budding artist age, particularly in the age, what is it, 13, 14, 15, 16?
Yeah, the older ones,
they're nowhere to be seen. The young ones they're coming in thick and fast, but the older ones not so much. So if there's a hack for anybody that's listed in Bulgaria, get your entry in. There's a good chance of winning some sats. So mate, if you can, I'll send you a link.
Send me the link. I already shared it in our community, and maybe somebody from Bulgaria enters the competition.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, mate. That was a great chat.
Love it, mate. You have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.